Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel vs. System unboxing. This is for the large or giant size issue, the Utopia Battles. So this takes place in the storyline after the Civil War, the Secret Invasion. Heroes were kind of being mistrusted. Skrulls and heroes attacking each other, all that stuff. Norman Osborn shot the Skrull Queen Leader. Basically, government saw him as a hero, gave him S.H.I.E.L.D, which he turned into H.A.M.M.E.R. So instead of being a defense, he thought it would be more active. He took over the Thunderbolts, the Avengers, and all that. He made the Dark Avengers. So that's what you're getting with the H.A.M.M.E.R side. Then eventually he decided he needed to start taking out what he deemed to be threats. And one of those was the mutants on the island of Utopia that they started growing. Little island off of the coast of San Francisco, and Norman Osborn decided we need to get rid of the mutants, so he started making plans. He made some Dark X-Men, Dark Avengers, Dark X-Men. He had the Thunderbolts, basically hired, rather than being villains trying to be redeemed, they were just villains. And then they fought against Utopia, where all mutants are considered X-Men. So this is basically the two different factions there, but instead of having the X-Men, we have the Resistance. So they get a different keyword or different team. So we're going to jump in through there. So we are going to get a token sheet. This is a big box set. It's essentially a two-player starter deck. Oh, I should point out, this is Volume 2, issue number 4. So now every 3 issues, start a new block or a new arc. So this is the arc called Children of the Atom. And then the other 2 are going to be, you got a big box if this is a starter set. So we got half of the box is going to be H.A.M.M.E.R, half will be the Resistance. And then the 2 subsequent sets are going to be exactly that, H.A.M.M.E.R and Resistance. So there'll be one small box for each set. We have here. So we have a Resistance and a H.A.M.M.E.R box. Since volumes, that's issue 5 and issue 6. And that finishes off that block. So that way you get 2 new teams, and then you get 2 extra decks that have more cards of each team, which is really fun. These bigger boxes also come with a set of tokens, some plus and minus counters, some damage tokens. We also have some health tokens, which are new. They aren't in all the other sets. And then you got 3s on the back. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the rule book, but if you only owned the base game, I would recommend picking up one of the other bigger boxes like this, whether it's even A-Force of Defenders, or one of the newer ones, this, Civil War, Fantastic Four, because they have much better updated instructions than the base game did. They're a little bit smaller in size physically, but they have a lot better information showing how the different powers and stuff work. I'm not going to go over every single part, but we do have good and bad teams. Clearly, X-Men are considered the good team, and H.A.M.M.E.R is the evil team. We also have some specific character things. If we need to reference those at all, we can. There's a lot more in here, but there's usually some in every set in the instructions. How to build your first 2 decks. So if you want Resistance, they recommend Iceman with these cards, Norman Osborn with those cards. How to actually build a deck, a little bit of information there. Some game terms. So that's just upgraded there. So we're going to hop into this, and we're going to look at H.A.M.M.E.R first. We're going to take a look at the bad guys. Alright. So here we have Norman Osborn, who is a.k.a. Iron Patriot and Green Goblin. So he counts as all 3 of them characters. So you can only have up to 4 copies in your deck of a character. So you can only have 4 copies of Norman Osborn, Iron Patriot, or Green Goblin. And if you have this one out, he counts as one of each of your copies of Iron Patriot and Green Goblin. Same thing for being on the table. You can't have if you have Norman Osborn as your main character, you can't play Iron Patriot or Green Goblin. But you can use both of them to power him up. Because I don't know if they have So if you don't want to play as the supporting character for Norman Osborn, you can use one of the other 2 cards to power him up. Not necessarily vice versa, though. Green Goblin might not be aka Norman Osborn. So he has no fatalities. Pay a green, gaze an enemy character, and the director of H.A.M.M.E.R. When a H.A.M.M.E.R. character on your side stuns an enemy character but doesn't KO them, Norman gains an XP. Now, it just seems kind of like an odd abilities for him, but this is Norman Osborn being the PR manager. He'll do the dirty stuff behind the scenes. He'll have other people do dirty work for him, but in the public eye, I'm trying to help everybody. So he's not outright killing the X-Men. He's like, no, we're gonna capture them or stop them from doing bad things. So he kind of plays that. And then he jumps into his Iron Patriot suit, and he goes a little bit crazy. Bring me their heads. Your H.A.M.M.E.R. characters are now lethal, and he has Dark Avengers, Dark X-Men. H.A.M.M.E.R. characters on your side are also X-Men and Avenger characters. So that has a whole changes up your entire deck. How different things can team attack and react, and equipment you can play, and all this other stuff. So that's pretty crazy. Alright, our next main character, we have Dark Beast. Hank McCoy from the Age of Apocalypse. He has Techno Genius. At the start of your turn, draw a card for each equipment on your side. Dark Scientist. At the end of your turn, Dark Beast gains XP equal to the total cost of equipment on your side. And then we have the Thrill of Experimentation. Put a -1/-1 counters equal to the total cost of equipment on your side on an enemy character. So you can just weaken guys up, hopefully take them out. Our third character is we have Weapon Omega. So this guy's kind of, I believe his name is Michael Pointer, if I remember right. Mutant Energy Absorption. So pay a blue for each Brotherhood, Resistance, and X-Men supporting character on your side. Loses and can't gain powers. Put a +1/+1 counter on Weapon Omega for each power lost this way. So his ability, he ended up killing most of Alpha Flight because his mutant ability, or his ability activated. I don't know if it's technically a mutant ability, but he absorbs energy from different mutants. So he absorbs their powers. So he absorbs life force and stuff like that. So he ended up killing most of Alpha Flight, and he's trying to redeem himself. The only things where he doesn't necessarily realize Norman Osborn's a bad guy. The Collective. When Weapon Omega gains +1/+1 counters, he gains an XP. And then when he powers up, he has addicted to mutant energy. So as a Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men supporting character appears on your side, it loses and can't gain powers. Put a 1/1 counter on Weapon Omega for each power lost this way. So this works better if you have him tied in with those other characters. And then our fourth bad guy is Simon Trask, who actually doesn't have a team. The Trask family is notable for creating the Sentinels. Bolivar Trask was the original inventor. So Humanity Now, you can't put Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men cards in your deck. So where Weapon Omega thrives off them, Simon Trask is the exact opposite. Proposition X, when an enemy character appears, Trask gains 1 XP for each team affiliation it doesn't share with a character on your side. So the more different ones you have that you don't have already. And then he levels up to a Bio-Sentinel. The bloodline must be purged. When an enemy, Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men character gets stunned, you may ready each Bio-Sentinel on your side. Human Sentinel 1. Blue or yellow. Choose a supporting character on your side to become a Bio-Sentinel with +5 attack, range, and lethal this turn. At the end of your turn, KO it. So it's actually a completely different strategy. It's kind of neat. Alright, we're going to jump into our supporting. Per usual, there's 4 copies of every card, unless otherwise noted. So we have Mystique, who's working with the Dark X-Men, impersonating Professor X. Mystique has leader. Well, Professor X isn't on his side. Mutant bomb. At the end of your turn, if Mystique is in your front row, your main character may pay a reg. If it does, KO her and put 3 -1/- counters on each enemy front row character. So you can sneak in and blow up. Simon Trask's Humanity's Last Stand. When Trask appears, he may pay a Humanity card, which is one of the basic ones. If he does, KO an enemy supporting character that doesn't share a team affiliation with a character on your side. So basically, you have more characters, you can start KOing people who aren't his friends. We have Dagger. Light Force Manipulation. If a -1/- counter will be put on a character on your side, you may put a +1/+1 counter on that character instead. Shifting Loyalties. At the end of your turn, if there's a face-up enemy Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men character, and Dagger has the Hammer team, she moves to that side, loses her team affiliation, and then gains whichever one of those are or those that are there. So this represents a couple of the characters. I'm going to skip forward. We also have Cloak. Usually I do these in cost order, like they come in the box. We're going to skip the Cloak quick because he has very similar thing. Dark Force Channeling. When another character appears on a side, put a -1/- counter equal to its cost. And he also has Shifting Loyalty. It's the same thing. So this represents these two characters being part of the Dark X-Men. And then halfway through the Utopia Battles series, the miniseries, they realize Norman Osborn's a bad person, and we should go join up with the X-Men, or at least not be with Norman. So they kind of help out the X-Men, at least for that battle, but they don't stay with the X-Men. That's kind of a neat little keyword there, or effect. We have Dark Beast, Dark Scientist. You may pay 2 less to play evil equipment to a minimum of 1. We have Bullseye. So this is part of the Dark Avengers, where Norman Osborn dressed up basically a bunch of villains, had them pretend to be the regular heroes, and most, like, the heroes all knew the difference. Most of them did, I should say, but like the regular public who doesn't interact directly with them, they just see Hawkeye. They don't realize Hawkeye is actually Bullseye, or any of the other Dark Avengers are actually another character. They don't. It's just kind of that interesting idea of that. Oh, these are all heroes, but they're not so like worshipped or known by their fans well enough that someone could tell it's a completely different person. I mean, they kept them in the Avengers Tower a lot. They made sure they weren't killing unless there weren't cameras around. But it was an interesting event. So we have Bullseye has Sniper, while Hawkeye isn't on his side. And then we have Dakin, who's impersonating Wolverine. So Dakin has Berserker, while Wolverine isn't on his side. We have Moonstone, who is impersonating Miss Marvel. Moonstone has +1 health, while Miss Marvel isn't on his side. His power remains on while Moonstone is face down. Another Dark X-Men we get is Kelvin Ranking, Mimic, who has Freeze. When Mimic appears, exhaust a character. It can't ready its next turn. Genius. At the start of your turn, if Mimic is face up, you may draw a card. And Tech Shield, or TK Shield. Any combat. The defending character can't be stunned this combat. You may use this power any number of times each turn. Then we have Venom, aka Scorpion, who's impersonating Spider-Man. Venom has Mobile, and well, Spider-Man isn't on his side. Then we have Iron Patriot, aka Norman Osborn and Green Goblin, so he works both directions. Lower the hammer. When Iron Patriot appears, you may turn an enemy location face down. Weapon Omega supporting card. Dark Invention. Put a vitality counter on Weapon Omega for each Omega machine component equipment on your side. Just kind of neat, but like his main one, so it requires other things to make him better. We got Ares, who's one of the Dark Avengers. Was Dodge, can't be ranged attack. Combat Master. While Ares is in combat, enemy players can't play plot twists and lethal. If Ares wounds an enemy defending supporter character, KO it. Namor, part of the Dark Avengers. Which is funny because they're just showing them with the X-Men here. Imperious Rex, combat. Double Namor's current attack and defense until the end of the combat. And he also has that shifting loyalties ability. So that was 3 of the X-Men that are Dark X-Men that join the regular X-Men. And our final supporting character is Sentry. He's a reluctant god. Sentry can't attack. Mindfulness. Pay a yellow. Sentry loses reluctant god this combat. It's an 18/18. So he's pretty super powerful. Then we have some equipment. So we have the aforementioned Omega machine component. These are one of a kind, which means you only get one in your deck. So Power Drain. When enemy character recovers, put a -1/-1 counter on it. Now this is actually a unique set of cards. We have a 1 cost. We have a 2 cost one, which also still one of the same name, but since its cost is different and it has a different set number and different picture, it is considered to be a different card. That's why you can have more than one in your deck. But this one says, an enemy character readies, put a -1/-1 counter on it. So if you can build this machine, when they recover, they get a minus counter. When they ready, they get a -1 counter. For a 3 cost, it says when they appear, they get a -1 counter. And for a 4 cost one, it says when they exhaust, they get a -1 counter. So if you had all 4 of these out, that means when they come into play, they get a counter. If you use them, they're going to exhaust and get a counter. Beginning of the turn, if they ready, they get another counter. So for them just to be able to attack and do anything, they're going to get 3 counters. That's going to take out a lot of characters. And if they do get stunned for some reason, and they're still alive, when they ready again, they flip over, they're going to get that counter, and then when they unexhaust, and they recover, they're going to get another one. So yeah, they can get up to 4 counters easily in one, within a series of turns. Here we have some plot twists. We have 4 copies of this. Spin Master. Double the -1/-1 counters on each enemy character. Outposition. Put a +1 or -1 counter on a character. Then you may move it to a different row on its side. So either get it to go in the front to attack, or maybe move it back to get it out of your way. We do have a special location. We have the H.A.M.M.E.R HQ. They took over Stark Towers. So you get 4 of those. And then we do get 4 copies of each of the basic locations, so that way you can play this as a starter deck. So we have a laboratory with got Mimic, Dark Beast, Weapon Omega, doing some stuff in there. Got the Academy, probably a Avengers Academy. We have a Fortress. I'm not really sure specifically what building that's supposed to be. Could be like Doomstat, possibly. And then we have the Training Ground with Pixie in the Danger Room. So that is the Hammer half of the deck. So yeah, a lot of -1 counters, some interesting shifting loyalty cards, some really cool and unique stuff. Alright, up first we have good old Cyclops. They'll follow him. Draw a card if you have a face-up Brotherhood supporting character on your side. Draw a card if you have a face-up supporting X-Men card on your side. The squad I've put together. At the end of your turn, if you have at least one face-up Brotherhood, Resistance, and X-Men supporting character, Cyclops gains an XP. So he's all about building the team, uniting all the different mutants together. Here we have Trust the Plan. If you have at least one face-up Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men supporting character on your side, put 3 +1/+1 counters on each of them. So that's cool. Definitely powers up his team. Then we get, this is a fun one. We have Emma Frost. Schemer. When you play your first plot twist each turn, you may draw a card. Fluid Fidelity. When you recruit a H.A.M.M.E.R or Resistance supporting character, Emma gains an XP. When she levels up, she levels into either her H.A.M.M.E.R or Resistance level 2 card, depending on the team affiliation of the last supporting character from whom she gained XP. So you gotta decide at that time which direction you want her to go. And then if she goes to the Resistance side, she has Mental Calculations. At the start of your turn, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Put 2 at the bottom of your deck and the other 2 back on top. Seeker of Peace. Choose an enemy attacker in combat. It can't strike this turn. Emma may use this power any number of times. Or she can join H.A.M.M.E.R. So she starts off with the Dark X-Men, and then she does the shifting loyalties, like Cloak Dagger and Namor, and she goes back to the X-Men. Kind of like, I was, sort of like, I was just working with Norman, to try and minimize damage on that side. And then she realized at some point she couldn't, she went back to the X-Men. So she has enhanced durability. If Emma gets stunned other than by getting struck in combat, she doesn't get wounded. Keeper of Law. Choose a character on your side in combat. It strikes an additional time this combat. Emma may use this power any number of times each turn. Our third main character, Bobby Drake, Iceman. Ice Slide. Iceman has ranged and invade this turn. Cold-Hearted Drake. When an enemy character readies, Iceman gains an XP. Goes from 6-1 up to a 10-3. He keeps his Ice Slide, and he has Cryokinesis. Pay 2 blue, freeze each enemy character, exhaust them. They can't ready on their next turn. And then our last main character is Pixie. Megan here. Soul Dagger. Choose an enemy character in combat to lose each modifier it gained this combat. Includes plus attack and defense as well as powers. Half Fairy. Level up 3. When a character plays a blue, Pixie gains an XP. And then her level up. Soul Dagger stays, but she's got S.H.I.E.L.D, Novarium, Shinthaw. If Pixie's defending, remove her from combat. You may rearrange your formation. Kind of like a teleport spell, is what it's supposed to be. Then we have our supporting characters. So we have Anole. This is going to be a lot of like New Mutants, and some other fun ones there. Climb. At the start of your main phase, you may exhaust the location. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on Anole. Regeneration. At the start of your turn, heal a wound from Anole. So this is before the schism, and when the X-Men split between Cyclops' team and Wolverine restarted the school, Xavier's school. So we have Magma. Heal Thermokinesis. When an enemy supporting character with a +1/+1 counter gets a -1/-1 counter, stun that character. Hellion. Advanced Telekinesis. Ready or exhaust a face-up character. You have Match. Pyrrhic Form. If Match would strike a defender, put a -1/-1 counter equal to his attack on that defender instead. We got Pixies, support, teleportation spell. Any combat, remove each character on your side from combat. Alright, then we have another interesting one. So these are one of a kind, so there's only one copy of each of these. We have Celeste. So they're Stepbird Cuckoos. You may recruit Celeste. You may pay a yellow if she does. When she appears, you may put Mingy and or Phoebe from your hand into your side. Then draw a card for each Stepbird Cuckoo on your side. So they get better if you play them all at the same time. If we have a Mingy, same idea, but she says you may pay the yellow to put Celeste or Phoebe from your hand to your side, then put a vitality counter on each cuckoo. And then if you play Phoebe, you play Celeste or Mingy from your hand, you put 2 1/1 counters on each Stepbird Cuckoo. So if you have all 3 of them, as you play one, you can pay 1 yellow to put the other 2 out, and it makes them each 5/5 with 2 health. Plus, you get to draw 2 extra cards, or 3 extra cards. So that's actually really fun if you can get all of them out. Then we have Armor. Psionic Exoskeleton. Armor gets plus 10 defense this turn. Becomes nigh invulnerable. Rock Slide, a Noel's buddy. You see him in the background there. Reform, better than ever. Rock Slide has +5/+5 this combat for each other Rock Slide supporting character in your KO pile. Enhanced durability. If Rock Slide gets stunned, other than getting struck in combat, he doesn't get wounded. So his Reform ability is supposed to represent it. His mutant power is essentially his body can get destroyed, and he kind of lives on as a spirit. He can reform using whatever rock material is around him, so he gets a little bit stronger, depending on what's there. And we have Domino. Probability of manipulation. When Domino attacks, flip a coin. If she wins the flip, stun the defender. When she defends, flip a coin. If she wins, remove her from combat and you may hide her. Iceman, get his supporting character. Ice Slide has range and fight and evade this turn. We've got Avalanche, the big one. Pay blue, green, and red. KO up to 3 enemy basic locations with different types. I don't know why my camera is getting so white when I pull away. Oh, we ran out of space. Alright, we got Psylocke. Telepathic Amnesia. The next time Psylocke stuns an enemy main character in melee combat this turn, that player discards their hand. I like Colossus here. He has no special abilities. You don't see that very often. Just a 12/12, which is more than enough. Of course, we're going to get a Wolverine. Animal senses. When Wolverine appears or enters combat, you may look at an enemy player's hand. And survival of the fittest. When Wolverine is wounded, when he is stunned, an enemy character in melee combat, wound it in extra time. And our final supporting character, who could cost the most or cost the least, is Mercury. Malleable shape. As you recruit Mercury, pay any number of recruit points and put a minimum of 1. She appears with that many +1/+1 counters. Leap. She has flying on your turn. So she could be a 1/1, or she could be a 10/10, or a 12/12, depending on just what you can pay for. Alright, let's go into some plot twists. We have Fight the Good Fight. Cyclops with a jetpack there and a flamethrower. Main, recover and ready stunned character on your side. It has ferocious this turn. We have a long-term plan. Stun enemy supporting characters. The exact cost equal to the number of resources on your side. very good one, but you gotta time it right. We have a non-team specific one, Sacred Ground, except it's kind of team specific. A Brotherhood, Resistance, or X-Men character on your side in this combat may pay any power symbol. If they do, they get +3/+3 this combat. If they paid with Asteroid M, Utopia, or the School for Gifted Youngsters, they get 6/6 instead. It's really fun, so if you plan that right, that can be a very powerful card. Speaking of Utopia, we got the special location for the Resistance. And then we're going to get the 4 copies of each of the basic locations: Laboratory, Academy, Fortress, and Training Ground. Same as the other deck. Nothing different there. So that would be our Utopia Battles. So yeah, 2 new teams, bunch of unique extra cards, some interesting stuff with like the shifting loyalties, like Emma Frost being able to switch back and forth. You know, Norman be able to make people Avengers and stuff like that. Playing around with different team abilities and skills, it's a really interesting set. And then there's a 2 box sets where you'll have more cards. Hopefully they keep adding more. That's the only kind of downside to having these teams that were like sort of event teams. Because H.A.M.M.E.R is no longer exists. Utopia no longer exists because now they're all X-Men on Krakoa. H.A.M.M.E.R went back to being S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's like the only way I can really see them adding more cards is in the crossover sets. Adding like a card here or there where they just, you know, they have like, they're just trying to beef up a little on each team to keep the number of cards kind of even. But I don't think you're going to probably see full boxes anytime soon. Because there's just so much other content. You can make other sets and stuff. That's probably the only downside. But at least they can all be mixed and matched. And a lot of the, there's enough cards to have references to other cards, which also make deck building very interesting. Alright, so that's what we have for the Utopia Battles, the giant size issue. So check out the next videos. They'll have the smaller box sets. See you later. Bye.